Hello, everyone. I'm Bradley Rist, a member of the Parlay's poetry staff. Today, I am running a podcast episode looking to explore and introduce some hidden elements of a few small things. My guest in the Zoom call, Corri Lobbezoo, is that right?
Lobbezoo. Yeah.
Lobbezoo? Okay, cool. Thank you for coming and chatting with me. Is there anything that you want to preface to our listeners about you or the poem?
No, just dive
No?
in. I'm excited for
Okay.
whatever questions you have to ask me.
All right. Well, I liked this one a lot. I felt like you started to follow through with a very nice theme that I enjoyed of just a few small things and how that's reflected in kind of your, I guess, your arrangement of the details in this first stanza. You start with salt and pepper and then two boiled eggs. And I feel like you go from little to bigger and end with breakfast. Mm-hmm. I feel like normally we will receive that information as breakfast, and breakfast is those following things. So I liked that a lot. Is that like the way that you were going for that? Am I picking that up right?
You know what? I wrote this in such a reactive place. You're right. That's exactly what I did. I don't think I realized it at the time. So I appreciate you pointing that out because that was the point, is like, just start just with a few small things. And then that will build to the thing that you actually need, which is breakfast. Yeah.
I think you did that really well. Oh, I always like, when you like incorporate things like fleece blankets. Like, I feel like, again, that like pertains very to you, but it is also still like relatable. Like how I was saying in the other episode, how you hit that line between personal and relatable. And I feel like this is like one of the prime examples, because like not everyone has fleece blankets as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
or at least I don't have a fleece blanket.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can still relate to this because like maybe I cozy up by like a candle or something.
Yeah, exactly. Something cozy. I didn't say the word, but that's 100% what I was thinking. Yeah,
exactly. I feel like you just like perfectly encapsulate that. What's some of the thought process on this like longer fourth stanza, the and repetition and jumping through these different thoughts?
Yeah, well, in the last, when we talked about the last poem, I talked about having ADHD, and I also have an anxiety disorder. And so this is also the inside of my brain, like just, and probably anyone with anxiety of any degree can relate, just you start to, what we'd say, spiral. What about this? What about this? What about this? Right. And the brain can just generate all of these anxious thoughts. And usually they're big stuff. It's often when I'm like at my lowest, I'm like tired, hungry. And that's when it's like, what's the meaning of life? Like,
yeah,
where's my career headed? Will I ever find love? Like, and now I have this reflex where I go, let's not think about that right now, babe.
Yeah.
But it took me many years to get there. So yeah, that's what this whole poem is about, is how do you keep yourself from being anxious and instead keep yourself in the present moment. And the present moment is always very, very simple. And as I said in the last interview, for me, meditation is as big as medication for managing mental health. And my meditation teachers like Eckhart Tolle have just really taught me how to draw the present moment close to myself, essentially like a blanket, like, I say that here. Yeah. The moment close. And that then you can have sanity, because the question one of my meditation teachers always asks is like, are you okay in this moment? And usually, yes, like it's usually you're worried about tomorrow or next year or blah, blah, blah. And so, I feel like that bigger stanza is kind of an example of like letting the things build up. And then it's like, no, let's come back down to like a few small things. And that's my kind of process of like anxiety rises up. And then I say, oh, shush, brain, let's think about a few small things. And often those few small things could be things that would comfort you, like breakfast or a routine or, getting cozy, a hug, just touching your cat and having a little nap with your cat.
That's such a good lesson, a good thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I I feel like I don't even know where my life would be if I didn't have that as a coping mechanism, you know?
Right.
So yeah.
I love this line, or this few lines describing the cumulonimbus clouds, the cold, heavy rain, the freakish lightning, and then I am thunderously unprepared. I loved that. Thunderously unprepared. That was excellently executed.
Thank you. I love that part too. Bracing to be doused. Like, I know you're in a warmer part of the world than me, but the cold rain, if you've ever been caught in like a cold rain shower, it's just like, it's a weirdly unpleasant. It's kind of like, it's not as predictable as a cold shower, right? Because it's just these big drops splatting on you. And yeah, when sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I feel like you captured that really well is what I was going to say. It's like, I feel like I was able to visualize that without like having to need like long, like, I feel like you don't have like a lot of like intense imagery, but it like happens through like the way that you describe things. And so it's like, it's brief and to the point. I feel like that's like exactly what poetry, I don't want to say should be, but like, that's how I write poetry. Like everything's like squeezed out.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, that stuff, is, poetry is cut, right? Like how few words can I say this in?
Yeah. Professor Lacey has like a good metaphor that I think he borrows from like someone else. That's like, poetry is like a book that's like soaked with water and then like wrung out. You wring all the water out. So it's just like the skeleton of like the message that's left.
Yeah.
That's like that's kind of like something that I try to incorporate if and when I do write poetry. I feel like totally. I see that here.
Yeah. And I think that also gives readers the space to make their own connections, right? Like sometimes poetry is a bit obscure or certainly just vague enough to be interpreted the way the reader needs it to be, you know?
Yeah. On the next stanza, I loved when you touched your cat's body. That's so sweet as a cat lover.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Cats are so amazing.
And the latter half of that stanza, do you think we are too lonely in this day and age? I feel like that's such a just a great like little just like thought that you're gonna throw at the end of this like such wholesome stanza. Oh wow. Yeah, I do think about that often. I feel like the modern world is a little too easy to connect with sometimes. And then when we are alone, it hurts more. It's like we're even more so alone. So I feel like touching that cat's body just kind of relieves some things for a little while.
Totally. To be honest, I haven't read this for a bit and I didn't even remember that was part of it. And in my editor's mind now, I'm like, ooh, does that take me in a different direction? Like, should I have cut that? And I think it's just, sometimes you feel it. You feel the lack or the loss of the thing that you should have when you suddenly have it. So you didn't realize you were lonely and then you touch your cat's body and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
This
I think it's perfectly placed.
Human touch or like, not human, interspecies touch is still, you know, so it's so important. And yeah, it's not really a poem about loneliness, but that's probably one of those big thoughts that could get you down if you went spiraling with it.
I think it works to your advantage in this case. And then everything is just a few small things. It's good to repeat that. I like that. And then that it has to be in parentheses is nice because I feel like it's like you're reminding yourself as well.
Yeah.
As you said, like this is kind of like an element of a therapeutic message. So I like that. You include the parentheses since you're aware of that this is something for you as much as it is for everyone else.
Yeah. It's like that moment when you're like, okay, the thing to say someone, and then they turn away and you're like, no, wait, like for real, the thing, you know, and it's, you know, it's like, yeah, for me, that's the mental health piece is like, no, for real. Like, this is not just a thing we say, like, this is not a live, laugh, love sign. Like you actually have to do this. Like,
exactly.
And so it's quite gritty, right? It's like where the other poem ended too of like, you know, it's about a piece of sand in my contact lens. Like it's a very small thing and a very practical thing. And I feel like being like mindfulness can take on this like very like airy fairy mystical, spiritual, ephemeral vibe. And it's like, no, it's like, as you see yourself going down your thoughts are starting to spiral, you're the only person who can say, shush, shush, shush. Remember, you have to just make this about a few small things. Like you have to like there's, what the alternative is. It is not pretty. So just do it,
Like, yeah, this poem is so like, it beautifully captures that. And I feel like it's like, I'm going to remember that now. Like it's going to like, that's might stay with me for quite a while. Especially
I want to talk with you about all my poems. It's so life-giving.
I'll submit more next year. And, I guess I'm transferring, but like I might swing back into the
come and do the parlay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll swing back to the parlay and help out. Yeah. And I love the purr at the end. It just reminds me of the cat. And like, that's like my favorite part.
I know. Sometimes I wish I could purr, like when you're really content, it's just such a great vibe. Like it's literally
an incredible sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my cat is like really old right now. And so I have like a little, like just audio clip of her purring. And I'm just going to keep this.
Yeah.
I know she's not going to be around forever. And she's been with me like my whole life. So I was like, it's such a sweet sound.
Precious. It's so precious. Yeah. That's great. I mean, if maybe this poem will get some people who thought they were dog lovers loving cats. I feel like a lot of people have cats that are like kind of mean and detached. And I just happen to have a cat that is very like loving and interested in everything I do and wants to sniff everything and wants to be petted all the time. And she would like me to like walk her to the park and play with her in the park and sit on the couch and pet her for like 5 hours a day. That's what she wants from me. So I don't know.
I'm jealous. Yeah. I have one of the very indifferent cats that does not care for me very much, but I don't care that she doesn't care. I will give her attention and love.
Yeah. Still a great presence to have around. It's just like
absolutely.
They don't ask for much, it's very low maintenance and still, they add something great to the life.
Absolutely. Was there anything else that you wanted to add to this poem? Like context wise for the listeners?
Yeah. I guess I just feel really happy that you folks accepted it. And, I am a life coach as well. And I'm just becoming a meditation teacher. And I guess in this moment, I'm like, oh yeah, like through my poems, I also get to be a meditation teacher in a way. And that makes me really happy. Because it can take a really long time to figure out, like for anyone who's listening and is struggling, it can take a really long time to figure out how to get yourself out of a deep, dark place. But bringing yourself to the present moment and the few small things is the recipe for sure. It always is, no matter what your situation is. So I hope that is helpful to some readers.
I think it will connect with people. And for the listeners that are like seeking poetry and are here listening, and I think they'll connect with that especially. And also, I would imagine a lot of the people who read these poems are also writers themselves, and I find that to be a very therapeutic element.
Yeah. Writing. That's one of the reasons writing is addictive, is that it forces you to be present. And I guess the other thing is like, it's equally true in times of great joy. Like I know some people who are always like excited about something that's coming up. That's like a classically exciting thing, like a trip or whatever, but then they're not present on the trip. And so they don't actually get that much joy out of it. And so in those moments too, it's like, no, just like you could be in Tibet or like in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. And it's still like a few small things, like there's the canal, there's a red door, like just bring yourself present. If you actually want to enjoy life, that's right. Kind of your path, regardless of whether things are dark or bright,
Yeah. I think it'll like help you like remember those things more in the future too.
Yeah.
Just like
absolutely.
Being present.
Just actually encounter that moment rather than, just anticipate it and then have pictures of it and be like, wait, was I there?
Right. And I will ask, just to confirm, Oma, is that?
Oh yeah, that's my mom's mom. So that's it. Okay. That's Dutch for grandmother. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Totally.
Nice. Just confirming for the listeners who are like, what is that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me and discussing this piece. I like it a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all your kind words. Thank you so much.